right, so now it's officially the time for us to start, and I can see already around 50 people who have joined, and we expect many more to join the meeting today. So I hope you agree for me to make an official announcement that the meeting is starting, and then we can kick off with the agenda. So good morning or afternoon to everyone, and I'd like to wish you all a warm welcome. My name is Ozkan Akyut Demir, and I'm Chief Operating Officer of Awards International, an organization dedicated to CX. Most of you here probably heard about Awards International or even have participated in our awards programs. As a product of our fruitful partnership with Customer Experience Professional Association, we have decided to gather a group of well-esteemed CX professionals from the Central and Southeast Europe who can exchange expertise, knowledge, and the newest strategies that will help advance CX in the region. Today, we are joined by a special group of people who have helped a lot in building this group of CX for CX in the region. And they are Laura Tengerdi from Hungary. Laura is a CXPA Hungary co-founder and network lead, brand and customer experience consultant, and she has over 25 years of experience in brand marketing and customer experience in many large organizations. Since July 2018, Laura is also a certified customer experience professional. Then Gabriela Ciupitu. Gabriela has recently launched her first CX consultancy in Romania, and with the intention to support companies to define and implement customer-centric strategies and align processes and organizational culture. Gabriela is also a CCXP and aims to set up golden standards for customers and employees' experience. Then Vedrana Tonković. Vedrana is coming from Croatia, and she's a business consultant and founder of the CX Centar with long corporate experience and expertise in the field of management, marketing, customer experience, and organizational change. We also have with us today Kmosko from Czech Republic, and Petr is also a certified customer experience professional with long experience in various types of and sizes of businesses, ranging from startups to global organizations such as Microsoft. So we also are joined today by Dejan Markovic from Telenor Serbia, and Dan's attitude is really amazing, and he believes that anything can be achieved with hard work and support from a great team of people, which he is proving on a daily basis, working for such an amazing organization such as Telenor. Also, Katarina Pranjić, also coming from Croatia, and Katarina is a director at Radilica. Katarina uses design thinking to motivate people to think beyond conceivable and create solutions that change universes for customers. So today meeting is all about learning and networking, and so feel free to use the most of your today's presence at the meeting today and expand your business network into new markets. You can introduce yourself by posting a message in the chat, and it is also good to share your LinkedIn link with the people so that they can connect with you. Now onto the agenda, because that's why you're here today after all. It is my huge pleasure to announce Ian Golding, CCXP, who is a world-renowned CX professional and is Awards International's great friend who will be talking about what is CX and why it matters. And next to Ian, I also have a huge pleasure to be joined today by our another speaker, Ozkan Demir from Pisano. Ozkan is Chief Executive Officer at Pisano, and Pisano is a leading all-in-one experience management company for creating simple solutions. So I can't wait to hear what they have prepared for us today. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Ian on the stage.
Thank you so much, Ivana. Brilliant introduction. I am so pleased it's you that had to do the pronunciation of everyone's names. I would have tried, but I think it would have just made everyone laugh if I'd have done that. Also, Ozkan, I'm going to try and play warm-up act for you. So I'll warm up.
Ian, you went mute.
Someone unmuted me. Sorry, someone muted me. I bet that was Neil doing it intentionally so no one could listen to me. What I was saying is I'm going to act as the warm-up act for Ozkan. So I'll get them ready for you, Ozkan. Don't worry about that. It's also wonderful for me to see so many faces and names and friends from across Europe. From Serbia, Hungary, Romania, Turkey. It's brilliant to see an amazing turnout for this group, and hopefully this will be the first of many comings together for all of you as the network grows in your part of the world. Some of you have heard me speak before, some of you probably more times than you would like to admit, but I'm just going to spend a little bit of time for the benefit of those who haven't heard me speak before and who are still maybe in the early stages of your exploration into the subject of customer experience, just a little bit of theory around what customer experience is, as Ivana said, and why it's important. The material I'm going to share with you is actually material that I use in delivering my masterclass. And so it just gives you an insight into how, in collaboration with Awards International and Customer Experience Magazine, we're continuing to try and bring as much knowledge to the world on this subject as possible. I'm very, very fortunate to have been able to visit many, many countries over the last 9.5 years as an independent consultant. In fact, to this day, I have now worked in over 50 countries around the world. And it always fascinates me when I visit a new part of the world to see just how interested people are in this subject. And many of you who are joining us from Turkey will know that the inaugural Customer Experience Awards for Turkey just a short while ago was a huge success. But what blew me away was the passion, desire, the just energy that came from everyone involved in those awards. And I am still hugely optimistic about Eastern Europe, Southeastern Europe, as a part of the world that is acquiring knowledge and doing something with it. But despite that, there are still many who are confused about this subject. And you may or may not be aware that this year marks the 10th anniversary of the formation of the Customer Experience Professionals Association. 10 years since CX was recognized as a discipline in its own right. And whilst that's a wonderful thing, 10 years is nothing. We are still in the very early stages of the evolution of customer experience around the world. But what's really important for this region is that you are earlier in your adoption of customer experience than other parts of the world. And I don't mean that as a negative, I mean that as a positive. The US would typically argue that they brought customer experience to the world, as they would probably argue, they bring everything to the world. But part of the problem with what I'm seeing in the US is that customer experience as a discipline is actually going backwards, not forwards. And it's because they've spent a long time talking about this subject, but they are still failing to practically apply the tools and methodologies required to sustain a focus on it. And so with that in mind, I just want to share just a few slides of theory to clarify what every organization should understand about customer experience. The first thing I always do is clarify language, because there is still confusion over language. We need to be sure that everyone understands the difference between the terminologies that you see on the screen. Customer service is not the same thing as customer experience. It is just one element of the experience that an organization delivers to its customers, in exactly the same way that sales is, that marketing is, that operations is, that everything is. Customer experience is the representation of everything an organization does that enables its customers to interact with its products and services. Every single employee in your organization has a role to play in the delivery of that experience. And the irony of customer experience only being 10 years old as a discipline is that it should have been a discipline for hundreds of years, because every organization was delivering an experience the day it was created. And so whilst it is important for your organization to recognize that, just recognizing there is an experience doesn't mean anything, because that doesn't mean the experience is any good. The challenge is that we need to be able to deliver that experience and improve that experience in a customer-centric environment. Customer centricity is not the same thing as customer experience. For an organization to be customer centric, in simplistic terms, it means that every time anyone does anything, has a conversation, performs a task, makes a decision, they do what they do, thinking and acting in the interests of the customer. That's what it means to be customer centric. And we know that much of the time that is not what happens. Much of the time, organizations are thinking and acting in the interests of the business, not the customer. And if we're going to be able to unlock the financial benefit of focusing on customer experience, that needs to change. And we also need our organizations to understand what sits behind those words, customer experience, because all experiences are made up of these three core elements: the functional, the accessible, and the emotional. The functional element of all experiences represents your products and your services. Historically, organizations were created to differentiate on that functional element alone. But unless your business delivers products and services that are completely unique, it's very difficult in 2021 and beyond to be able to differentiate solely on the product or service. So increasingly, over the last 15 years, and it continues to accelerate, organizations have been focusing more on the second element, the accessible element. How easy is it for your customer to interact with you? The easier it becomes, the more likely it is your customer will return to you. And the continuing evolution of digital technology is enabling us to make experiences more and more accessible. But the most important element of all is the third one, the emotional one, because the emotional element represents the way the experience makes the customer feel. And the reason it's the most important of the three is because the way the experience makes your customer feel is what they're most likely to remember. And customers, wherever they are in the world, remember one of three things: very good things, very bad things, or nothing at all. And it is that third outcome that is the worst of the three. Because if they remember nothing at all, it means there is no emotional connection between you and your customer. So with all of that in mind, this is a critically important subject, because if organizations are going to be able to sustainably grow in the future, they will need to not continue to have a business strategy that is product-led, sales-led. They will need to evolve so they're able to become truly customer-led, to get themselves to a position where they can differentiate not just on their products and services, but on the whole experience. And to be able to do that, you would need to get to the right-hand side of what I call the customer experience continuum. This is where the most customer-centric organizations in the world sit. Regrettably, the overwhelming majority of organizations are not on the right-hand side. The majority of legacy businesses are on the left-hand side, and very, very few of them have got to the right. If your organization wants to be able to differentiate on the whole experience, it must align to the characteristics you see underneath that image. You have to be easy to do business with. People need to, in your organization, need to have the ability to think and act in the interests of the customer every time they do anything. And when things go wrong, you need to fix the things that go wrong so they don't go wrong again. And there needs to be absolute clarity of your brand promise so everyone is going in the right direction. So to get there, how do you do it? How do we enable an organization to become sustainably customer-centric? Well, firstly, we need to recognize the importance of having organizational alignment. We need to align the organization to enable it to consistently deliver experiences we want our customers to have. All experiences are constructed of these three layers in your organization. The first layer are your customer journeys. Your organization has always had one, but for many, it's only in recent times they've become aware of that fact. The second layer are your business processes. Business process management is not a new discipline. The problem is that most organizations bought, designed, and implemented processes without knowing there was a customer journey. And so very often the things your people do every day do not align to the customer journey, the things your customers interact with every day. And it gets even worse when you get to that third layer, the technology layer, because like process, most organizations bought, designed, and implemented technology without knowing there was a customer journey. And so what has happened historically and continues to happen to this day is we put technology in place, force processes into it, and customers get whatever they get. If we want to be able to transform our organization to become customer-led, we cannot start with the technology and work upwards. We need to start with the journey and work downwards. Because what we can no longer rely on in business is the experience to be delivered to our customers by accident. It's a very strange expression, but most organizations are doing customer experience by accident. This is where we are almost entirely reliant on the goodwill of our people to know what to do and when. That is not sustainable. If we want to be able to differentiate on the whole experience, we have got to make what we are focusing on from a customer experience perspective intentional. And to make it intentional, we need to have structure and rigor. We need a form of framework so that the organization understands exactly what is required to be customer-centric and how it needs to become, over time, more mature at doing it. The framework, an example of a framework that I have been sharing knowledge with around the world, has 3 parts to it: strategy, measurement, and people. And to bring my introductory talk to a conclusion, I just want to share this with you, so you've got a little bit of food for thought as I pass the baton to Ozkan to continue sharing knowledge with you today. My customer experience framework is no different to any other, but it is a very simple interpretation of the way customer experience works. The strategy part of the framework is 3 questions. In principle, 3 very simple questions. Do you know who your customers are? Do you know what you want their experience to be? And does everyone in your organization know the role they play in delivering that experience? 3 simple questions that most organizations find very difficult to answer. And that makes the second part of the framework very challenging, because that part of the framework is called measurement. And this is where the customer journey comes in, because whether an organization knows it or not, it is the customer journey that is bringing the experience to life for your customers right now. And that part of the framework should be about the adoption of a continuous, interconnected cycle of activity to manage the customer journey. And then the third part of the framework is all about people, because you cannot deliver experiences without people. It does not matter how digitally enabled you become. And so that third part of the framework is all about the creation of and sustaining of a framework and environment to enable your people to think and act in the interests of the customer every time they do anything. At the end of the day, we must never forget that everything I'm describing is not rocket science. But what we must never forget in addition to that is that business, customer experience, is all about human-to-human interaction. We are living in a world where many organizations think they can just cut cost and eliminate human interaction. But if you do that, you are eliminating the very thing that your customers are most likely to remember for the right reason. And so I just want to conclude by saying to you that underpinning all of this is a principle that will ultimately lead to the sustainable growth of your organization. And that is the principle of empathy, the way we make someone else feel. The better able your organization is at empathizing with your customer, the more likely it is your customer will become an advocate of yours, a fan. Fans become loyal. Loyal fans come back to you more often, spend more money, and tell others about you. And if that happens, you will grow. And that is such an important message for leaders of all organizations to be comfortable with. The last 18 months have been unbelievably challenging. And I have no doubt that these challenges are going to keep continuing. But through the gloom, there is a lot to smile about. And in fact, today is just another example of what we need to smile about, because there is a growing recognition of the importance of collaboration, the importance of communication, the importance of us coming together and supporting each other. So I hope that you have found that interesting and useful. You are always welcome to reach out to me or to any of the brilliant group that has brought you all together, and then we can carry on sharing knowledge with you going forward. But for now, it is time for me to pass back to Ivana. Hopefully I've warmed you all up and I've set the stage well for Ozkan. Back to you, Ivana.
Yeah, thank you, Ian. Thank you. that was like, as you used actually that expression once, that you like transferring knowledge to the people. So I felt like that was the case today as well. And as always, it was a pleasure listening to your presentation and your speech. So thank you very much. So I hope that everyone is now a bit excited about the topic, and I would suggest, since it is almost the time for us to, when we planned for Ozkan to continue with his presentation, to do some sort of a Q&A and panel discussion after Ozkan's presentation. So Ozkan, if you're ready, you can continue. You can take over from where Ian has finished his bit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ivana. Thank you very much, Ian. Although I am joining from London, I'm not going to have the same accent. I'm very sorry for that. I'm still at the beginning of pretending like I'm Brit, but definitely I'm not going to reach out to the level of Ian. So I wanted to set the stage and set the expectations right from the beginning. So thank you very much again, everyone, for joining today. I'll be sharing my screen very shortly, but while doing that, I would like to basically start with a few things that I noted from Ian's presentation. First of all, again, Ian and also the Awards International team working on Turkey CX Awards, which has been, again, tremendous success. Congratulations to the whole team for all the contribution that you've done for development of the CX in Turkey and in the region. The other keyword that I received actually from Ian as a pass was alignment, and not being accidental but intentional, and also smile, which again I'll be using those keywords quite a lot in my presentation. So everything actually, when we speak about experience, started with the very first engagement between a person and another person. So experiences, whenever a service, whenever a product is received, there is that experience. So it's not actually as new as we speak. Maybe the community is new, but we all know what is experience since we were born. That's the main thing that drives our decisions, our choices, our memories and reviews too. So this is an experience, or sorry, this is an example from 1700s, 1800s before Christ. That's the first well-known feedback in the history of the world, where it is actually hosted in British Museum in London, where there was a trader which wasn't happy with the quality of the copper that they received in a market, and they wrote even their complaints to the walls of their caves, or like the places that they live. So that is the proof of simple proof of the history of experience, history of customer experience starting from that time. So what happened afterwards, when we understood the value of experience that we deliver to our customers, we started to develop processes, we started to develop quality specs. We wanted to actually prescribe everything that we do deliver good service to our customers. And then our customers, according to their personal needs and their past experience and the available information at that moment, they had an expectation from that service too. So in the middle, there is that perceived experience, which is basically equal to the market cap or the value of our brands, value of our companies today. So that is how we understood the value of the experience, which basically sets the expectation, sets the valuation of our businesses today too. Going forward, of course, technology developed a little bit, but not too much. But since we understood the value of that experience, we started to look for some feedback. We looked for understanding the experience of our customers. And this is a scene from one of my favorite Turkish movies, which is called Neşeli Günler, where two entrepreneurs working on a pickle juice business, they were forcing a customer to understand which product was better, either the one done with lemon juice or vinegar. Basically, this is pretty much similar to what we do see as a survey fatigue today. Like we care so much about the experience of our customers, hopefully, and then we force them to give us some feedback and learn about how was their experience. And this was about like late 20th century. But then also we worked on the technology a little bit. We wanted to understand the quality of service that we delivered, but then it got into a whole mess where we tried to approach to our customers with more than a few tools, customer being the same customer, businesses being the same businesses. For various reasons, we wanted to understand and measure, as Ian said, the service that we deliver to them, where customer journey is introduced, where all these channels introduced, services and products introduced to. Going forward, we actually made an analysis, like why do we care about the experience? Like why do we really focus on this experience and trying to understand it? Basically, there's a framework behind return on experience investment, because it requires an investment. It doesn't need to be cash fully. It's time, it's effort, it's people. And then while working on the return on the experience investment, what we do is we design experience, we listen and understand the customers, we design and provide insights across the organization, and implement new tools and technologies at the moment, increase adoption of experience management, and develop customer centricity across the organization, and many more. So for all these purposes, we're all working around customer experience or experience management. That's why when we saw this big picture, we wanted to be close to the community as much as possible. So again, thank you very much to Awards International bringing this opportunity to share. And we really appreciate the contribution from their side to the CX community. And as Pisano, we didn't want to stay away. We just want to contribute as much as we can. So we introduced Pisano Academy, where we wanted to tell the audience that we're just more than a cool tech. And we really care about the community, developing CX Glossary, which is done by Gökhan. I've seen him joining the session too, our beloved member of the CX community, driving a lot of CX efforts in Turkey and in the region, being also a member of the CXPA organization too. We write a lot of blogs and articles. We develop ebooks, guides, playbooks, again, reports, which I will be sharing one of them today, hopefully will be interesting for you. And we do host a lot of webinars, again, which we will be talking at the end of the presentation too. So Pisano Academy is actually a community where we do have more than 300 blog posts. We hosted more than 30 webinars. We do have around maybe more than 25,000 people following us up, and then from 42 countries. And when we started 2021, which we've done in 2022, I believe we're doing this for the last 2-3 years. We received sector leaders' opinion from 8 different sectors and 29 sector leaders to understand what was their expectation or what was the trends that they see on the market as CX professionals that they dedicate their full time to the industry, to this space. So a few of those I wanted to share. First one, as Ian said, employee experience. So we do a lot. We do try to provide good services to our customers, but in majority of the cases, those experiences are provided by our employees. New products, new services, always delivered for the employees, where we want to make sure that they have the good experience so that they can provide that to the customers too. But at the same time, they also need to have enough information, enough knowledge about those services or experiences that we would like to provide to our customers so that they can achieve those goals. So alignment keyword is quite valid here. The other one would be the user experience. User experience have actually both sides for both the customer side, but also our employees. So if we're developing new interfaces, if we're developing new products, digital products specifically, that's too important that it's clear that we do provide that user experiences to both our employees and customers so that they can achieve their goal. They're successful for the transaction that they are being there. And especially after pandemic, turning everything to digital, we've seen some of our customers, especially on digital channels, since they were not ready. Their user experience was not ready, both for their employees and their customers. We've seen that the contact center volume that they received was 8 times higher than the usual time in a previous year. So that's how user experience is important when you're aligning the whole organization around experience management. Yeah, well, the other one would be multi-experience. Multi-experience throughout the journey of a customer. There are a lot of channels and touch points, which again, coming from various sources, it can be so hybrid now. A journey started on web can end up on our stores or branches, or another touch point or another journey starting on some of our stores can end up being in digital channels. So understanding those journeys, as Ian said, and designing those journeys properly and measuring them all with a multi-experience approach was another trend for this year to really have these frictionless journeys across or experiences across those journeys for our customers. The last but not least, as Ian said, if not accidental, but we want to have these intentional experiences that we want to provide to our customers, we would like to be those organizations driven by the experience. We would like to be that organization that is customer-centric, experience-centric, that people are collected, gathered around, or aligned around the experience. So that is what the industry leaders like Gartner and research companies call as total experience. So we would like to see this as the biggest trend for the experience management industry for 2021, which was also explained by the Gartner as a whole overall trend for 2021 as being total experience. Total experience is a mix of, so let me go to this one. A successful implementation of total experience will include successful implementation on multi-experience, user experience, customer experience, and employee experience too, which is the alignment, is the core or a successful way of doing digital transformation. If one of them missing, it will be either poor alignment, it will be either the poor adoption, poor implementation, or poor enablement, which will not make our success of the project as we intended. As Ian said, it will be accidental. So I'd be happy to share one record of what we think about what really experience is. So I'll try this. Hopefully this will work. You want to? Sorry, Ivana, do you hear the voice when I turn turn the audio?
No, I think Zoom would need you to tick off the button that you want to share the screen, the sound of the slide. So I think you would need to stop sharing and start sharing again from the slide where you are now at.
Okay, I'll do it very quickly and then, yes, there we go.
Mm-hmm. Should work now.
Please bear with me for a second. This was actually okay, but this didn't happen because I just updated my Zoom. We're going back there. I'm just gonna take this.
Yeah, we can hear that.
Our emotional response to a situation is what's called an experience. Understanding what people want is a very effective way to provide remarkable experiences and ultimately make them happy. An unhappy experience, on the other hand, can ruin a lot. Not only for the one who's unhappy, but also whoever's responsible for the situation, especially if this discontent is written on a wall or in stone for that matter. This is what we call feedback. Customer feedback is important. It is a direct indication of emotional satisfaction. When it's positive, it feeds. But when it's negative, it teaches. So, you have to make use of it anyhow. Come on, let's be honest and confess. Us humans, we're not always that great at communication, especially if it's about our personal experiences. So, listening to what humans say may not reveal much about the objective truth, since there may be some things left unsaid, covered, hidden, or plainly lied about. Actions usually speak louder than words. So we must learn how to listen well to what is not said, and see through the silence to read the unsaid beyond actions. This is the difference between hearing and listening, looking and seeing. This is exactly what transforms data into information and knowledge into understanding. But understanding alone is not enough. You have to act on it.
And in order to share how businesses act and what were the actions that they have taken, what were the results and outcomes of the studies that they have done, as we're doing today, we're hosting another session or a few sessions consecutively on the 5th of October, our beloved CX Day, where we will be issuing or implementing the theme of your new logo will be the smile of your customers. So we'd like to see that smile, no negativity this year, fully positive, fully focused on smile, as I've said right after Ian's presentation. So we'd like to talk about all those smiling experiences of our customers, which will hopefully one day will be our new logos. So thank you very much, everyone. This is what I wanted to share for today, what we see as this trend of the 2021. If there is any question, I'm happy to take it, but we will continue with the panel anyways, but we would be happy to stay in touch.
All right. Thank you very much, Ozkan, for your lovely presentation. And I hope you all enjoyed listening to Ozkan while doing the presentation. So whilst Ozkan was presenting, we had one question in the group, which was really interesting, and also Ian has picked up on that, and also Peter. So thank you very much for doing that. And I think that we still have either Ian or Neil or other panelists on this meeting. So would anyone else would like to add anything to Veselina's question about human behavior, and if a customer is not happy, how do we motivate those who are happy to share the feedback? Neil, would you like
asking me?
Yeah, if you would like.
Yeah, no, I think I've got a similar example to Peter from Hilton Hotels. I think they were one of the first people to introduce that little slip-on reception. So getting customers to, they introduced a little thing where what did you like about your service today? Or what did you like about, what's your first good first impressions? So encouraging the customer to think positively. I mean, one of the things I always say to people these days is that if you go into a retail or an environment and you receive bad service, if you start complaining, it gets worse. If you smile and you say something nice to the person who's on the checkout or whatever it is, it actually gets better. It helps them, you know. So I just wish more people kind of realize that. And obviously, it's you know, it's difficult to get people into a positive frame of mind. But if you put things like that in place, then it can help people look for positive things more than perhaps just the negative things. I don't know if that is an answer to your question, Veselina.
Yes, thank you. Thanks to everyone. I really appreciate it. Here we are running like weekly surveys online for everyone who placed their orders, and we want to, to improve customer satisfaction, and that's why I'm asking. We are testing variety of actions to do it. Sorry for not turning my camera; it's my working view. So yeah, we are testing, and every example is very, very much welcomed. And thank you, Peter, as well, and Neil and Dejan. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Okay. So I have prepared a few questions whilst listening to both Ian's and Ozkan's presentations. And I would like to also encourage our panelists if they would like to join the discussion. So I know that all of you are now experienced CX professionals, but I would like to hear from you. What were your main challenges when you actually started your career as a CX manager, comparing to how it has evolved over time? So I would like to hear maybe from Gabriela. She has recently made a massive change in her business life. So if you could give us an answer to that.
Hello, it's
Hello.
an honor and a pleasure to be here with you today. So my biggest challenge also in a multinational company, but also in the new business, is to make people from companies to understand that customer experience is not a project, but it's a continuous, sustainable, improving process, and they don't have to stop after 1 month or 2 months of the project of customer experience or 1 year. They have to do it continuous. This is the biggest challenge. And if I have time, the second challenge is creating awareness about the importance of customer experience and the focus on listening the customers. Also the negative feedbacks, but also the positives. And to answer to the previous question, I encourage the promoters to leave their feedbacks on social media, for example, but also if the promoters leave a good comment on the surveys, I recommend you to call these promoters, make them your ambassadors, and make them feel special and important to your company.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so we heard some of the examples how a CX strategy has transformed some businesses, and some good stories in Ozkan's presentation. Looking at our market in the Southeast Europe, for example, in Central Europe, what is the most common CX practice that companies are implementing when, for example, their CX is in early stages, if that's the right expression that I'm using at the moment. But I would like to know if there are any, common practices that the companies are starting to implement. Maybe for Ozkan, and maybe from someone else from the panel, maybe Laura or someone who is,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to pass the word to Laura or Dejan, right after myself. So basically, we work with tens of businesses in the region. So what we do see when we also develop, we develop our relationship with them. So first of all, it always starts with a team. So it's not like one person can come and change everything. So it's not like, yeah, I'm appointed as a, director of CX, head of CX manager, and I'm going to be trying to, I will be able to change whole organization and, surround it with a customer-centric culture. So usually what we do see, since the investments in the region is at the beginning of, they're just starting right now, we do see companies hiring a lot of people changing positions and then developing their teams, because it's a team game at the end, and you will need to change or transform the whole organization. That you would need your bodies, you would need your partners. So that's what we do see as the very first step. And the second usually goes through understanding the existing value proposition of the business, understanding the existing experience that the business delivers to their customers. Then it comes to the full upper management alignment, that they do see what's the value or experience that they would like to provide to their customers, and what's the delta. And then according to that delta, it all comes to the execution. But it's not just one step. It's an always ongoing, as Gabriela said, it's an always ongoing program. But we usually see in the region that it always starts with developing the team, understanding the business, understanding the ideal, finding that delta, and then working on the execution of that delta.
Okay, so I also can add a couple of things to that. So I was heading Budapest Bank customer experience team for like 5-6 years, and what we did, I can talk about this at the moment. So the most important thing to have a CEO who is really engaged around the topic. So that's really crucial. And after having a positive CEO, you also need a leadership team who's committed about customer experience. And what we found that above this, customer experience need to be among the strategic focuses. So it needs to be raised among the top strategic focuses, because then it gets into everyone's thinking, then leaders are talking about customer experience on the forums, different internal and external forums. So that's also crucial. And to have a team, as Ozkan mentioned, so to appoint someone who is responsible for customer experience, to have a small team. It could be, marketing responsibility, it could be customer service responsibility, as Ian used to say many times. It could be whomever, like from operations or even from product, or it fits everywhere, just it depends on the company. So what is important? To have someone who's responsible, and also to start developing, start pushing it forward. And probably I would mention one last thing, because there could be many, but one last thing, which is about engaging the whole company around customer experience, which is quite a challenge, I would tell you. Not only at the beginning of the journey, but also after 2 years and after 5 years. So you always have new challenges, and that's really difficult to convince the team. But it's possible. So I can tell you that even after 5 years, we realized that it was possible. Sometimes we needed outside help, maybe from Ian, but sometimes we could do it like with a game, a CX game within the company, or doing a nice leadership training program, or just going out to talk to customers. So there could be many things around that, but I guess what you have to do, just start it, like do the first step, and definitely, or make the first step, and definitely it will be okay. Do on an agile way.
Yeah, I believe that we all have the same experience. We always started with people, with a team. As Ian mentioned in his presentation, it's most important. People are most important part of customer culture. You can put strategy, you can put right measurement, but it's really crucial that everybody in the company are aware of their impact on the customer experience. I believe that we all start with people.
Ian has raised his hand. Yeah, thank you.
I've always wanted to do that, Ivana. I'm usually presenting, so I never get the chance to raise my hand. I thought I'd try. And it's brilliant listening to Ozkan, Laura, and Vedrana. But I know we're coming up towards the end of the session, and I've got to run. But there's a question that I need to ask you, Ivana. So if that's okay.
All right.
I mentioned in my introduction about the amazing success of the Turkey Customer Experience Awards, but some of you may remember that last year, right at the beginning of the pandemic, we had the Southeast Europe Customer Experience Awards, which was the first time any of us had ever done anything virtually, and it was the first time I'd ever worn a black tie by myself in a room. But what's happening with the Southeast Europe Awards? Are they going to happen again?
Yeah, it's actually a great question. Yeah, so Southeast Europe Customer Experience Awards has evolved to a bit higher level, which will be revealed soon to everyone, and that's now evolving to the European Customer Experience Awards, which is going to be launched very soon. So because we had those awards, soon after that had the Turkey Customer Experience Awards. We actually realized that a lot of the companies have reaching out to us, asking if they fit within the region. So it was, I think, a clear decision for us to actually raise it to another level, and then start planning for the whole geographical region of Europe. So yeah, thinking about.
Sure. Everyone on this call will be able to be part of the European Customer Experience Awards next year.
Yes,
amazing.
Of course, that's for sure. It would be our pleasure to have them as participants. Yeah. All right.
Thank you for letting me ask you a question,
Ivana. Yeah. So we're pretty much done with the timing, and I would like to thank all of you. But before you leave, there is one thing that we said that we will also offer as an opportunity to everyone, and that is to give you an opportunity to network today. So there were many messages or LinkedIn links shared in the group. So we currently have a bit more than 60 people, 70 people in the room now. So I would like to ask everyone who have time and wish to do a bit of a networking. This is something that we sometimes do at our bigger events, is to give you an opportunity to meet a few people in a breakout room. So what would happen next would be the case that we would we would open a few breakout rooms, and we would expect to have 5 to 6 people in each room, and give you a chance to have a closer look on what like-minded professionals are doing, and to get to meet new people. So I encourage you to stay and to spend a few more minutes. So we will give everyone 5 to 7 minutes to meet and expand your business network. So my colleague Mila will assist me with this. So just for everyone who will see now the invitation on the screen, so that you know what is coming up. And then after that, I'll still be here in this room, wanting to thank you once again for joining us today. So yeah.